Hello guys, I'm back from another video and today we're talking about what if Deku was reincarnated into Genshin and back. So in the last video we talked about how after we met Asaha, they would start fighting it. As Izuku was fighting it, it would start shooting out, cryo-like missiles as Izuku would dodge it away as he would think, how the hell is he able to, use the abilities or, use multiple, elemental abilities. As while he was thinking this, he would see, both, Lumine and also, Ganyu basically fighting Astaha. But, Ganyu was not really feeling well because of her twisted leg, or, sprained leg. Wait for a second. And because of that, she would basically fall down as Izuku would try, as Izuku would try to heal her thanks to the help of his, hydro abilities. But as while he was distracted, he would get attacked once again by, Asaha. As Izuku would decide to basically create a Geo and Animo Dragon to basically, help him up out, like basically bring him up to the air. As when he did that, Asaha would basically, shoot out a few blasts of, more cryo energy, and would cause the dragon to basically, fall down to the ground as Izuku would decide to summon in the, Susanoo, as using the flaming scythe and the, electrified, sword or katana, as he would start fighting it once again, as Asaha would start using Electro, which he would start going into the ground as the tree-like, tail would start sparking off a few electric blasts. As after Izuku cuts off his tail, it would start screaming out in pain as Izuku would finally knock him out. After leaving, the large cave, they would arrive back home and would see, surprisingly, that, all four of the girls that are not, Lumine, are sort of, in good terms. And apparently they decide to do a truce because, remember, they're basically, sharing the same guy. So they decided to, decided so they can, at least, get along. Even though, when they finally get to Inazuma, it's definitely gonna be more chaos than last time. So yeah. So, after that, we basically ended off the episode as Izuku's basically sleeping with, all four of his harem girls, except for, Hutao, because she's living in a different house. So yeah. So, that is basically what happened last episode. And so, let's talk about what happens next. As when Izuku finally wakes up, he sees that all four of his harem girls are gone. As when he starts getting out of the room and would see all of them basically eating with, Tao, Izuku would ask how was breakfast and also would also start eating with them. As they would, tell them, like, he would basically tell them that, that it was pretty good and not, but, apparently, while they were talking, apparently Hutao has a job, specifically to go to, basically prepare a funeral. Apparently, this funeral is for a high-ranking member in the Leeway Chising, and Izuku has to join because, apparently, one of the people that basically, that died, or in this case, the person that actually died, aka, the guy, as in, the one that's basically dead, you basically get it, is apparently a big fan of his, and not only that, wants, wants him to attend because apparently one of their children as well sort of, admired him because, after saving, Leeway from basically total destruction, and after, that person died, he wanted to see Izuku just once, and maybe even get an autograph. As Izuku would start thinking, I guess that definitely feels something, I guess. As you start thinking, I guess that's what heroes feel like when they have fans. He would start thinking in his mind. As we go back to the My Hero Academia verse, currently, Bakugo is still pretty much, pretty much because he's the number one hero and he's pretty much dealing with a lot of bullshit right now. He has to do, a lot of, autograph signing bullshit right there. But while he was doing that, he would start feeling a little bit of a chill down his spine as we say, why do I feel like somebody's telling me that I'm, pretty much too popular for my own good? Whatever, he would basically say, as he would look over and would see his, daughter basically asking, hey, Dad, we should probably start leaving. After all, Mom is a bit worried. As she would say this, I meant he. Oh, don't worry, besides, I'm still pretty much doing all this. After saying that, his daughter, aka I'm just gonna be calling her Mochi because remember, I'm pretty much a big fan of this, AU. Not really AU, but it's more like a future, comic where, in the My Hero Academia verse, apparently, Ochako and Bako get together, even though I hate that ship. Their child is kinda cute, not gonna lie. Damn. So yeah, going back to, to the universe of Genshin Impact, Izuku is basically, basically going with her, aka, after, agreeing with her to go to this funeral, he would start leaving with, Hu Tao. And apparently, it's, pretty much important. And after leaving and saying goodbye to his girls, apparently, Lamine also has to go. Apparently, she also has another meeting with, the only way she's saying, specifically with Ning Wong about something important. So, as Izuku leaves, he would basically say goodbye to the rest of his girls, aka, wait for a second, Shanling, Amber, and well, after saying goodbye to them and also giving them a nice kiss, they would basically start leaving. As Izuku is leaving with, Shanling, he would see a lot of people basically, looking at him in admiration, because remember, he's basically a hero of Leeway now. As while he was basically being stared, Izuku would start feeling a little bit of a dark energy nearby. As he would look over, and his eyes would widen. As Izuku would recognize that uniform. It's a Fatui agent. More specifically, the Pyro, invisible guy. I can't remember the actual, name for this specific, Fatui, Fatui, like, enemy, but it's basically the one that's wearing a mask and a hood and basically wielding a knife. If you don't know what I'm talking about, well, it's this. Yeah, something like this. So, after seeing this Fatui agent, the Fatui agent would start turning invisible and would get away. Izuku could not, find them, but he would start getting a little bit suspicious after, seeing the guy. After leaving, he would start, going back with, with Hu Tao. As Hu Tao was worried, as she would say, "Hey, Izuku, are you okay? You definitely look, worse for wear." As Izuku would say this, "Oh, it's nothing. Just a bit worried, to say the least." After saying that, he would still look back, and would basically look at where the Fatui agent was. After that, they would arrive at the funeral parlor as they would meet up with Zhongli. As Zhongli would say this, "Ah, Izuku, you're here. We're gonna be preparing for the, funeral very soon, so, and Hu Tao, don't worry, we already fixed up the body." As Hu Tao would say this, "Good, now, let's get ready." As Izuku would say this, "So, what am I supposed to wear, exactly?" As she would say this, "Oh, don't worry, I'll get you something." After doing that, Izuku was given these types of clothes. Actually, I couldn't find one because, most of them were either female or, supposed to be not, I was just looking for, like, something that's not, like, supposed to be for, how do I say this? Like, apparently, white clothing is specifically for, much more, closer relatives, while black is more, like, for, distant relatives. I was trying to find either blue or green, but unfortunately I couldn't find one. So, just imagine him wearing, like, a traditional, like, morning clothes, but in green. I mean, it makes sense, after all, he does have green hair, so, as while he was basically wearing this, he would say, "Huh, I never worn anything like this before." As when he looked over, he would see Hu Tao basically wearing a traditional, like, not Japanese, I meant Chinese, funeral, like, basically just her normal attire, but, a bit more, stylized, I guess you'd say. As she would say this, "Whoa, you actually look kinda hot, Izuku," she would say, as Izuku would say this. Thank you. Anyway, so, are we supposed to," as she would say this, "yeah." As they would start, going outside, as the body or the coffin would basically be, there. Basically, being held by a few, members, or more specifically, a few, funeral members, as they would start bringing the body to the house, as Izuku was walking with them. As Izuku would say this, "So, Hu Tao, I mean, I'm pretty much wondering, how do you actually deal with your job? I mean, it's a pretty, let's just say interesting job, to say the least." As after saying that, she would say, "Oh, I just deal with it. After all, my family has been doing it for a long time now. As Izuku would say this. I see. Huh. After saying that, she would say this. Anyway, so Izuku. As Izuku would say this. Yahutao? As she would say this. So, I was wondering, how did you actually met, both, Amber and, wait for a second, and Noel? As Izuku could say this. Oh, I actually met Amber a few years ago. I was a kid back then, and pretty much a reckless one. I actually met her while she was being bullied by a few other kids. So I decided to save her, and we became friends ever since. I met, Noel, years later, and she's more of my recent friends, let's just say that. And let's just say she's, a bit interesting to say the least when I first met her. I even, thought she was kinda cute at the time. But I never thought that she would actually be my girlfriend. As she would say this. I see. So, Izuku, as she would say this. After, saying this, Izuku would say this, I meant. As he would say, what is it exactly? As she would say this. I was also wondering, how did you, gain your vision exactly? As Izuku would say this. Oh, well, sort of, as he would basically go into a flashback. Back when he was still, pretty much young, he was fighting a few, members of, the Lawrence clan. As one of them would say this. You dare, still, I meant, wait for a second. You dare steal from us? One of the greatest clans imaginable? As Izuku could say this. Greatest clans. Says the guys who literally tried to take over and literally caused an entire, nation to basically fall into chaos. As he would say this. Why you little brat? After saying that, he would basically get rid of his sword as he would slam it down onto Izuku. As Izuku would basically dodge out of the way as he would say this. You seriously thought you can actually beat me? Don't make me laugh. After saying that, he would grab two knives, as these knives are basically just like, the kunais that he basically had, but a little bit longer and, more, I guess you could say, jagged, as he would throw them towards, towards the guy, as he would get stabbed by them, as Izuku would say this. That was close. Anyway, as you look over the chest, as you would open it, seeing that the contents were filled with gems and jewels, and you would see a few pieces of, Mora, as you'd say this. Oh ho ho! This is definitely gonna be great for me. And also for my fam, he would basically say. But before he can say anything else, he would get stabbed right across the chest by another, member of the, another member of the, of the guard of the Lawrence clan, as he would say this. Don't you dare steal from us! After saying that, Izuku would say this. Shit! After saying that, as he would say this. I can't die here. I mean, I've been reincarnated here, and I won't die. I don't want to die. Besides, my family is counting on me. You told you're technically not really my family? I so consider them as one. As Izuku would say this, I won't die here. I will not die here. As the guy would say this, any last words, you scum? As Izuku would say this, only one thing. As his hands would basically, be, being, basically, reaching towards him, as a few water droplets would start forming, as a weird-looking crystal would basically appear right beside him, or more specifically, on his side. Maybe like, near his thigh over here, as you'd say this. Take this, serpent, Ouroboros. After saying that, a large serpent made out of water basically appears, as it would grab the man and throw him out of the way. As after saying that, Izuku would say this. Whoa, what the? As you would look over by his side, as you would see a vision. The vision that he had, and it would only have, one light in it. Specifically, Hydro. As Izuku would say this. No way. I got a vision? That is... As before he can say anything else, the guard would run back as he would say this. Don't you dare! As he would basically charge over with his sword, getting ready to slice him apart, as Izuku would say this. Alright, let's try this out. As you'd say this. Learning Hydra. After saying that, two, two serpent heads made out of water, as a third one would appear out of nowhere, as he would chomp onto the guy, as he would instantly defeat him. As Izuku would say this. Well, this is quite convenient. After seeing the guy basically, not really drowned, but more suffocated enough to the point that he's basically knocked out, he would say this. Well, that's a great tool to have. After saying that, he would basically look back at the large chest as he would say this. I think it's gonna be easy for me to take this. At least I won't be, struggling to try and get this thing into the cave. After saying that, he would basically use his vision to basically, create a few water dragons, as they would start carrying the large chest all by himself, as you'd say this. Can't wait to tell my family about this. He would basically say, as we go back to the present. As after, saying that, she would say this. So you were a treasure hoarder? Well, that's pretty surprising. As Izuku would say this. Yeah, I guess you could say that. Anyway, so, we should probably start going now. As, while they were finishing talking, they would arrive at the house, seeing a few people outside, as they would see Izuku, as they're basically wide-eyed seeing him, as a few of them were basically cheering him on, and some were flabbergasted that he's actually here. They actually meant it as a joke, but actually seeing him here was a bit surprising, as Izuku would say this. So, hello. As some of the girls nearby, mostly the ones that are a part of the family, would start, getting some great ideas to try and, let's just say try and get all the glories, let's just say that. As when Hu Tao saw this, she would start, grabbing her spear and would start, just imagine, Conqueror's hockey, right? Yeah, that's basically all of the girls basically right now. They're basically, a bit scared after seeing that little, that dark, malicious face on her. As they would move back, as you would say, yeah, we're probably not gonna let, probably not gonna do that. After, that, they would basically start, leaving to go back to the, funeral house itself. As, while they're basically escorting the coffin, one of the people there that seemed to be the daughter, sort of the, deceased man would say this. Thank you for bringing my father's dead body. And thank you for preparing the funeral. As she would say this. It's no problem. Besides, we're the Wangsheng, funeral parlor. And it's our job to basically do this. As she would say this. Thank you. Anyway, and I'm pretty surprised for you, Izuku of the Thousand Elements to actually be here. As Izuku would say this. Don't worry about it. And besides, just call me Izuku. I would rather not be called by a stupid title like that. As she would say this. I see. You're actually quite honorable, to say the least. Most people in that type of position would say to praise me or something of that sort. As Izuku would say this. Well, I guess you could say I'm the exception. Anyway, so where I can stay for now. I mean, I'm supposed to stay here for a while and basically join this, whole funeral thing. As she would say this. Oh, you can stay over there for now. After that, Izuku would basically sit down and would basically, sit right next to a young boy. As the boy was pretty much, giving him not really death glare, but more like the opposite. He's giving him a life glare, to say the least. As Izuku would say this. Hello there, kid. As she would say this. I meant he. You're Izuku. Izuku the Thousand Elements, right? As Izuku would say this. Yeah, pretty much, kid. And trust me, you don't really need to call me that. Just call me Izuku. As you'd say this. Oh, sure. It's nice to meet you, though. Can I have your autograph? After saying that, Izuku would see a painting of him. He was pretty surprised after seeing the painting, and not only that, it seems a bit, exaggerated. Just imagine one of those, not really, painting, not really drawings, but more like, paintings of, Napoleon. or something of that sort, where they're basically glorifying him. Basically, something of that sort. As Izuku would say this, sure. As you would grab a pen and paper, not really a pen and paper, but more like just, a pen, or in this case, like a quill and, a ink and quill, as he would basically write down his name, as he was pretty much happy. As he would say this, nice to meet you, the name's, Wong Do. Oh god, actually, let me just search up an actual name before I just get blasted in the comments. I'm just gonna call him Fang Cheng Huang. Mostly because, those are the only three names that I know in Chinese. Mostly because I don't really know Chinese, but my cousin does, but he would rather not talk about, saying that it's quote-unquote traumatizing to say the least to him. Anyway, so, after meeting, I'm just gonna call him Fang, as Fang would say this. So, Mr. Izuku, as Izuku would say this. Yeah, as you would say this. I wanted to ask, how are you this strong? As Izuku would say this. Well, I guess you could say that I have something to protect. Like, as you would start thinking of his girls, as Izuku would say this. I guess you'd say I'm taking care of my friends by protecting them with my power. That's what empowers me. As, the guy would say this, or Fang. Oh, I see. He would say, as he would look over and would see his, grandfather's body. As he would say this. So, Izuku, as Izuku would say this, yeah? As he would say this. Can you please hold my hand while I'm, looking at Grandpa? He would say, as Izuku would say this. Oh, sure. After holding his hand, he would start bringing Fang to the body of his grandfather, as he would start praying to it. As Izuku would just be there, basically, by his side, as a few of the people there were pretty much happy seeing the kid, somewhat happy ever since the death of his grandfather. Well, he was not really smiling all that much, as some of the people there were thinking that it's kind of cute, and, some girls are pretty much still, planning to try and lust over him. But currently, let's just say, wait for a second. Currently, Hu Tao is basically seeing them, basically trying to, try and thinking of ideas to try and steal her man. Well, she's currently spitting out a bit of, killer intent, as they're basically shivering down their spines, as they'll think, what the fuck just happened? And so, after that, the funeral would, actually start, as the priest would basically arrive, as he would start talking about, how his life was sort of, pretty great. I mean, it was just normal-ish, to say the least. Or at least normal in a society where there's literally freaking magic and gods basically living there. Even though, technically, Raiden Shogun is not, not the original, the original, like, Archon of, wait for a second. Not the original Archon of, of Inazuma, aka, the Electro God. Yeah, but still, as while he was basically talking about this, the funeral would finally, end, as everybody would start bringing the body to the, I guess to say the, where it's going to be buried. After, a bit of walking and mourning, as Izuku would see, the little guy, aka Fang, basically crying a little bit because his grandfather is now finally going to the good place. AKA, I'm going to be calling it Celestia, because basically Celestia is basically just heaven. So, after arriving at, the burial site, which is a large, funeral home, not really a funeral home, more like, a cemetery, I meant, god damn it, as the cemetery would be large, with a few, a few, like, Chinese-based, architecture onto it. A little fun fact. I actually have a Chinese, like, styled, like, cemetery nearby my, house. Not really nearby, but more like, a few blocks away near my school. And apparently there's been rumors about, like, some sort of, like, Zhang Shi basically being there, aka Chinese hopping zombie, which I don't believe, but I still kind of think that it's actually true. I just imagine the person actually, using the Jiangshi to just like terrorize like the entire town, but it's probably just real or just like some sort of stupid rumors or some drunk guy basically coming into the place and just thinking, yeah, why do I feel like somebody's thinking of rumors about me or something of that sort? But still, it was a pretty fun idea, but it's probably just rumors. Anyway, continuing on with the episode, as Izuku seeing the body basically being lowered into the ground, as Hutao would do her magic and would start, praying to it and would start, burning the body, as everybody's still pretty much in mourning. Sorry about that, god dang it. Would do her magic as the funeral would finally end. After the funeral would end, everybody would start, having a little bit of like, I don't really know if it's an actual like, thing in China, but in the Philippines after their death, they would start eating in a remembrance type thing. Where in the Philippines they would basically, have a little bit of a feast and a little bit of a party to basically lighten their mood after, after their death. Or at least that's in my family at least. Because after my, grandfather died, yeah. I'm still pretty much sad about that. Anyway, continuing on, we would just basically eat and would basically, in remembrance, we would basically eat his favorite food. So, just imagine it just like that. As everybody's basically eating, Izuku would basically eat with them. With, right beside him was, Fang. And after that, they, or at least all of us, or at least all of them in this case, including Izuku and, Hutao, would basically start to leave. After leaving, they would arrive back at, Hutao's home as everybody is basically asking him if he's okay. As Izuku would explain that it was pretty much okay there, but he would basically, tell, a few of his girls about what happened while he was basically there, including the Hall for Tui thing. After saying that, well, all of the girls would start having red flags instantly, as one of them would say this. Specifically, yeah, Amber and, Noelle would say this. Who the hell are the Fatui exactly? I mean, we know that they're, a part of the, of Shazaya, but why are they here exactly? As Izuku would explain last time, as, Amber would say this. Wait, what? So, you're telling me that... Oh, God. As, a certain, Noelle over there is basically planning to murder, a certain... A certain group of Fatui that almost tried to kill her lover, aka Izuku. Oh boy, she's definitely pretty mad, to say the least. And so, after that fiasco, and also, a somewhat worried, a somewhat worried, girl, aka, Miss Worrywart over there, aka, Lamine, would basically calm down as all of them would agree to basically get ready in case if the Fatui comes by. And so, we basically end off the episode right there. As all of the girls, including, Hutao now, because Hutao was planning to sleep there instead. As all 5 of the girls, including Lamine sleeping on his chest while the other girls are taking each limb, would basically fall asleep. As for, Paimon, she would also fall asleep, but nearby, Paimon is thinking to herself, Paimon thinks that I'm basically the child in this relationship, she would basically say. And so, this is going to be the end of this episode. So yeah, I hope you liked the video, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you guys next time. Bye-bye!